appreciate you guys so much. Looks like Emily's making dinner. Like the multitasking is great, but to be able to see each other and build community, I think is so important. As it's honestly one of the things that I first wanted to chit chat about tonight. So I wanted to tell you a little bit of a story and just the gratitude that I have, and then kind of where the impetus of the call kind of came from. So I messaged Erica. She doesn't know I'm going to talk about this yesterday. And I just said, I want you to know how much it means that you recognize me for winning the cruise, right? And she's like, oh, of course, I wouldn't even think about it. And what seems maybe to like not a big deal to her was a huge deal for me because I kind of feel like ever since I hit 2 star, I'm somewhere in between of like I don't really have an upline. Like I love Janny, but she maxed out a long time ago, right? And she's there for us, but she's not in it like when Jess and I first started. And Jess is really great, but then I have a lot of downline members that I want to support, and you kind of like it gets missed and we forget how important that is. And I'm working just as hard as you guys work, right? And like the times that I'm not with Adonis and I'm doing a call or I'm trying to feed him and I'm doing a throughway message or something. And you remember how important that was. And I hadn't thought about like, oh, who's going to do this as much as soon as it happened, how much it filled my heart. And I thought, gosh, our recognition is so important. And that is such a huge part of the community. And so I say that with you because when we tell people about our culture, when we tell people about the community and what we have for them, people don't know what they don't know. Like they don't know what's missing until they have it. And when I was a solopreneur, I had my nutrition practice. Like I honestly didn't realize how lonely I was doing my own marketing, doing my own consulting, doing my own billing, working in this office. People would come in until I was plugged into the Isogenics culture. And I was talking to people I'd never met. People were celebrating me. People were rewarding me. People were inviting me to things. And I just thought I had no idea how much I needed this until it flooded my life. Right. And I've heard other people say that. And that is one of the things that I would encourage you guys to really lead into when you're prospecting, when you're really casting the vision. Like we say things like, oh, we have a 3-step simple system. Oh, we've got market disruptor products. Oh, we have a compensation plan that's unparalleled. But when you can really tell stories to people about what this community has done, what this culture has done, people realize how important these friendships are. People realize how important the belief is, how much the encouragement is, how much just the transparency is, the vulnerability, things that you just don't get in a lot of other places. And so I actually wanted to start with tonight's team call with a little bit of the work it. I would love for you guys to just message 3 people in the Isogenics community that have absolutely made a difference for you. Okay. Some way or another. Maybe it's your upline. You say, hey, if you had not pushed me to go for that goal, I wouldn't have known what's possible. Maybe it's someone in your downline that you say, hey, like your friendship means everything to me. And you signed up, for collagen, but I love that we've spent the night in a hotel room together. I love that we've been on a trip together. I love that you went to my kid's birthday party. Maybe it's someone you're not financially linked to. I think about some of my closest friends in the entire world right now are people that I know through Isogenics, but are not anywhere near my team. I think about Jamie Lynn Curley and Renee Schreibman, obviously Jess, people that are, if I got married today would be bridesmaids in my wedding, that there's no way I could go day to day without them in my life. And I want you to just send out a little bit of gratitude. And I want you to tell them specifically how your life is better because of them. And that's just really raise the vibration of the community, of our culture, and of our teams. I'm going to give you guys about 2 minutes, okay? 3 people, upline, downline, crossline, just pour into them with the gratitude that you have for what they have done for you, okay? And then we'll be right back. We're going to pick things up. Okay, guys, I'm going to give you just about 30 more seconds, but just pour some love into people about what this community has done for you. Upline, downline, crossline, someone you met in the company. Like, I just think about people like Bethany Krause, who like randomly will like check in on me. I just was texting with Trudy Maples the other day. Just some of the most amazing people that have made me want to be a better person, right? That are so driven, that are so kind, that are so encouraging. And that when we invite people and we say things like, I repeat Jessica all the time, right? We're the type of community that stands on chairs and cheers for others. We say that, but like, what does that really mean? And if people aren't a part of it, you got to give specific stories. So I was talking to a girl the other day that I was prospecting, and she owns her own lash studio. She teaches other people how to do it. Like, the girl's like a zillionaire. Like, the last thing that she's interested in right now was the money. But I just said to her, I said, you know what? I said, one of my favorite stories is my own mentors. I said, she is married to a guy that played in the NBA. I said, they were stinking rich. And I said, but she's the most altruistic person that I've ever met. And I said she fell in love with showing other people how to have the most like utmost wildlife that she was experiencing. I said she never did it for the money, but she did it for the contribution. She did it to be able to show other people back. And I said, and she's so happy. And I said, I don't know if that's for you or someone else. And I said, but I always love to share that because people don't know what they don't know. And she was like, okay, I want to talk to you. She was like, you have no idea how unfulfilled I am, even though we're highly successful. Right. And it was like, I didn't have that story, right? Like, I have the rags to riches isogenic story, but I know Janny's story, when you can plug into things like, Jessica was crushing it in a male dominated sales, or sales industry, but to have like women, like true women that are role models to her kids. Like, I think about those posts when she's like, if my kids could be a fraction of blah, blah, blah. And she lists Anne and Holly and Erica and Ashley DeChico, right? Like, to be like the way her kids could be, like, that's genuine. We really, really, really got to lean into the story. So that being said, the second thing that I wanted to remind you guys of, and I have to remind myself of this sometimes, right? If you're not having fun with this business, then why are you doing it? This is not a have to business. This is a get to business. All right. There are other jobs that people have to do. We get to do this. Like, we get to put these amazing products in our body. We get to invite people to take a look at the compensation plan. We get to invite people to go on trips with us. We get to invite people to earn a side hustle in the pockets of their time, being home with their kids, from the carpool line on their phone or whatever it may be. That I want to just nudge you guys a little bit on, like, what makes it fun? Like, what makes you want to prospect? What makes you want to talk to people? What makes you want to get on team calls? And as I look at pictures and I think about, we had 100 people on the team calls, and like, what has maybe changed or what has maybe shifted? And I hear Janny in my head that we lead an army of volunteers. And I think the minute that we are putting pressure on people, the minute that it's like, oh, you have to do this, or, this isn't enough, people shut down, right? They don't have to do this. If this business is like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, we're going on a cruise, or like, oh my gosh, my best friend from college just texted me that she's down 15 pounds, and that's because I told her about the products. Like, it is fun. And I want to just encourage you guys to think about, what is it that you love about this business the most, and do more of that. And the things you don't love the most, delegate it out or find someone else to really lean on to that really loves to do that. So Jessica and I were laughing the other day, right? Because I said, I'm going to start doing more events. And she's like, oh gosh. She's like, I really don't want to do that. She's like, can I just go recruit all the people that like really love to do that? And I said, yes, you can, because they love to do that. And you have all these yellows on your team that want to have theme parties, and then they can bring you the rock stars, and you can, teach them the compensation plan. It's like, Janny never had events. Like, that wasn't her MO, but I love them. I love being in the neighborhood with people, drinking wine, hanging out, figuring out how we're going to go from college into, shopping for bags down the line together, whatever that may be. But there's certain things I don't love to do, like hide behind Instagram and slide into people's DMs. Like, I'm blown away with the people that can prospect that way. And I said, I'd rather go to Costco with my hair dirty and yucky clothes on and meet someone organically in the checkout line than hide behind Instagram. But here's the thing, is you get to choose. Like, no one's saying you have to do this. What we want to do is consistently talk to new people, but you gotta find the way that you want to do it. Okay. So I want to encourage you to honestly ask yourself, what is it that you like the most about this? And if you could start your day every day just being like, I get to do that, I want to do more of that. How would that shift the needle in your isogenics business of the things you like to do and the way people are attracted into you? So I did a compensation plan call last week with Kathy and a new builder in Florida. And you guys, I'm going to be super honest. I literally thought, I don't know the last time I did a comp plan call. Part of me, I'm grateful because Emily and Laura and Jenny, and there's some other leaders that are doing their own. But it also was, we just didn't have that caliber of people or people respected that I was with Adonis, and I was lit up. Like when you know you're in flow, like I was in flow. Like Kathy's like, holy shit, like I have not heard this side of you in a long time because I love it. I love casting the vision. I love talking about the numbers. I love getting people so excited the first time they go, oh my gosh, because they have the same thought. Like, is it too good to be true? Right? I had it. People have it. And when they see that and you get to be this like hope dealer, that is awesome. And I started thinking, okay, I've got to reach out to people and like fill my calendar with doing compensation plan calls because I love it. And then that excites me. And then guess what I want to go do? I want to go prospect more people because I want to be able to get them on the phone and I want to be able to teach them more comp plan calls. Okay. So you get yourself into a cycle of things. The hardest thing, in my opinion, of this business is mastering your mindset. You have got to be emotionally steely. I remember Janie telling Jess and I so early on that, like, if you're sensitive, if you don't have thick skin, it will take you out of the game. Someone will return, someone will switch companies, someone will blame you, someone will judge you, or whatever that may be. And that you've got to just be able to be 10 feet tall, rock solid, bulletproof, no matter what comes your way. And there are some things over the seasons that have definitely challenged me. I've seen him challenge Kim and Laura and Holly and Alicia and Jess, Erica, every single one of us, right? And sometimes they're small, sometimes they're large, but you've got to be able to say, if not this, then what? You know, why did I get started? What is keeping me in the game? If I wasn't doing this, what else would I be doing? And the consistency in your actions, I truly, truly believe comes from two things. One of them is the mindset, right? One of them is you being emotionally still, you being bulletproof, you not letting people take you out of the game, keeping your blinders on and just so laser focused on what you want and what's going to get you there. And the other that I truly think that's going to keep you consistent is knowing why you do it. If you don't know why you do it, no one else knows why you do it. I'm so thrilled to see David Wood back doing his training, you know, and that he's going to be like really in the trenches with isogenics again. But I will never forget my very first event. He gave this example and he said, if a guy proposed to a woman and he said, you know, I'm 99% sure I want to marry you, like, what does that woman focus on, right? Like, of course, the 1%. And when we're like 99% in, guess what people feel? Guess what ends up happening? So it just does the best job of training on certainty, that people want to be led by certainty. You know, I remember her training, I think it was in Nashville, but the story of like, if you ask for directions and they were like, I think it's on the left side, maybe you pass a fire hydrant. I think this is the street. You go down like maybe a little distance, maybe a lot of distance. Like you're never taking directions from that person, right? But if they're like, it's the second house, there's a red mailbox outside, there's a blue truck, it's always parked there, go this amount of feet, there's a banana tree, like whatever the example was, you're led to certainty, right? Like people want to be around people that they can trust and have that confidence. And you've got to show up with that business. And I think the glue to have that happen, the part that makes you bulletproof, the part that just people say, okay, tell me more about this, is why you do it. Because your why makes you unshakable. The why says, okay, you know what? I don't care what you say to me. I don't care what you think about me. I know why I'm doing this. I know what it's done for my family. I know what it's done for my friends. That energy shifts you from less about what you're saying and it's more about how you're saying. Because I'm gonna be super, super honest. I have been messaging some big businesses. I've been just kind of getting out of my comfort zone. And this girl responded that last week in a way like at the tip of my tongue, I could be able to respond to her at any given moment, right? But I was just in a funk and I was tired and hadn't slept a whole lot. And I was like, what do I say to her? And I sent the screenshot to three people. Okay. Sent it to Erica, sent it to Jessica, and I sent it to Shruti. And I said, how do I reply back to her? Okay. Here's the cool thing. They all said different things. And if anybody wants it, because I copied and pasted it and I put this compilation into a notes app, by the way, of what they said. So the first thing is there's a lot of different ways to get back to it. Then I sat there and like three different times I tried to voice memo her and I was like trying to like put this like compilation of what they all said to me. And I was like, man, none of this is going to sound good. And I kept thinking like, I'm on the receiving end, I'm hitting delete, right? Like this sounds like a scam. I'm all over the place. It's so confusing. And I just put it away. And then here comes like the itty bitty, like shitty committee, right? Like the drunken monkey. Like, why would that person ever enroll with you? Like, blah, 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 just move on. She's ever going to like forget you messaged her. And then yesterday morning at a great workout, endorphins are up, crystal clear why I love this business so much. Crystal clear why I am like so excited about it all the time. I just messaged her. And to be completely honest, I have no freaking idea what I said to her. Probably nothing about the business and nothing about what it should, but my energy was in the right place. And I knew why I was messaging her. And she was like, sure, let's talk. And we have a Zoom scheduled tomorrow. Okay. Now, this is like 10 days delayed, but I'm telling you this because it has so much less on what you're saying and all those details, but it's why you're doing it. It's how you're saying it. People want to be around high vibing energy, right? People want to be around certainty. People want to be around people that are excited. And when you sound super scripted or you're copying and pasting, someone else's language, people know that. But even if it's less perfect, if you're just like, hey, here's the deal, like maybe not, maybe it's so, but like let's have a conversation, people really, really, really want to be a part of that. Okay. So I went to a really, really, really cool conference last Tuesday, and it was the first time ever that I didn't see Adonis. I left before he woke up. I was home after he went to bed. That part like nearly destroyed me. But the minute I walked into the room, you guys, the very minute I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be right now. Okay. I was blown away with the training. I was blown away with the content. Yes, the inspiration. But here's what I will tell you, it was awesome to not be around a bunch of MLM and direct sales people. So when we go into an Isogenics event, like it's all like-minded people. We're speaking the same language. It was cool to have the training and have the inspiration and it just be applicable to entrepreneurs. All right. I go to a lot of networking groups and I always tell Ryan, I like joke that I feel like I went to like AA of like MLM. Like I'm with Shackley, I've been here for 3 years. I'm with Mary Kay, I've been here for 8 years. Like I'm with Beachbody. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like all of us, like get me out of here. Like that's just not where I want to be. Right. Because everybody just shops from each other, but no one's switching teams. And it's like, truthfully, a lot of people who aren't doing it that well, that it's not like that inspiring. You're not going to get to the next level. And I have no idea how many direct selling, distributors were in there. The room had 3,500 people in it. There was a lot of realtors, a lot of lenders, a lot of insurance agents, a lot of attorneys, I mean, like really, really successful business owners and not a lot of direct selling people. Okay. The guy said to me right away that they are the number one business tour on the road right now. And he goes, I'm so tired of people saying they have sold out events and they don't, right? It's like they're trying to like move the chairs back and like take chairs away, make it look like it's really full. He goes, we had room for 3,200 tickets. He was like, we tried to take a natural attrition that people cancel, people get sick, they don't come. So they oversold those tickets. The room held 35. They thought there was 3,700 people in there or something like that. It was literally wall to wall. There were literally people in the aisles, like on the floor. And I asked myself, what are they doing here that people want to be in this room, right? Like sure, there were some big names on the flyer, right? But there's a lot of conferences that have big names on the flyer. So I kept asking myself, why is this sold out? The one in Miami was sold out. The one in Texas was sold out. Like, so I was at the one in Denver. It's called the Aspire Tour, by the way, if you guys want to look it up. And I just kept sitting there thinking of all the people on the flyer, like, why is this room, like no one left, like no one left at the breaks, no one left at the lunchroom, like they wanted to be in it. And the very first thing I'll tell you is there was energy, right? There was just an energy that people, I honestly think since COVID have not experienced, right? When we started getting comfortable in Zoom and doing everything, that it was like this room of just one percenters, people that are like committed, that are all into it. The second thing, and take this for what it is, you guys, I'm a red, so I'll just own this for right now. There wasn't all the fluff. Like a lot of events and everybody's crying and there's a lot of emotional stuff and people want the grittiness. There were two women trainers, the most were men, and they got into it. There was content. There was like very tangible takeaways like I can leave today and put this into place for my business that it made all the time that I was here. And it made me say, how do we show up on our team calls? How do we show up when we're prospecting? How do we show up in our events that people aren't like, oh, this was fun, but that they're actually getting value out of it? They can say, okay, I can be better in my team right now. I can be better in my business right now. Like this is something that I'm absolutely learning. And so I'm going to give you just a few of the one-liners that I like loved, loved, loved from a compilation of all these speakers and the things that I had and specifically that I wanted to leave you with today with Isogenics. And then if you guys can look at the Aspire Tour in Denver, follow these guys on YouTube, follow them on Instagram, and you're just going to continue to be inspired and I think a better leader from what you were. But one of the things that this gentleman said was, I want you to make a choice today on the number one thing that you want right now in life. Make a choice right now. What is the number one thing you want? And then make a commitment to do something daily, relentlessly and passionately to get you there. And he said, we are driven by passion, right? And purpose, like as human beings, but that's the guiding compass. And without hesitation, you guys, because I can sit here and say, I never want to put Adonis into daycare. Oh, I want to buy this house, or I want to like whatever. I just trusted my gut. Okay. And the very first thing that popped in my head was, I wanted to take our honeymoon. For those of you that don't know, Ryan and I got married during the pandemic. Okay. We couldn't get to Europe. Remember when Trump wouldn't let people go to Europe, blah, blah, blah. Then our honey fund became our down payment for a house fund, which then became our IVF fund. Okay. What I will tell you is I have a beautiful baby, but I have no grease fund anymore. And I was like, I want to take our honeymoon, and I want to be able to bring a nanny or someone with us because I'm not leaving Adonis, but we can enjoy it. Like immediately, like it was just clear. And I said, what do I have to do daily? How relentless will I be? And how passionate do I have to be able to make that happen? For those of you that know Jules Hansen on our team, you guys, she's on this trek to climb Mount Everest right now. If you don't know her, go follow her right now. I don't even know how in the middle of Nepal she's messaging me right now and like sending me like pictures and updates. Mostly it's her with like e-shots and products that are like getting her through. But if you look at her transformation, not only what she did with her physical health, but with her mindset and to be able to do this. I thought about her when he said that. And I thought, when did she commit to do that? And what did she do every single day, relentlessly and passionately, that she's on this wild pursuit? I mean, very few people want to do it, but like kudos to her. Okay. So think about that. What is it that you want the most right now? And I would encourage you guys to share that with someone, just like I shared with you that I want to go to Greece. Like Emily Sutherland year and a half ago told me she wanted to finish her basement. Guess what they're doing right now? They're finishing their basement. Like she has shown up time and time and time again for her business, prospected when she didn't want to, done events when she didn't want to, gotten babysitters to figure out what it is because she was passionate about it and she had a vision and she's making those things come true. So here's another thing. I told you it's just this compilation of things that I absolutely loved. A gentleman said there's 3 levels of living: almost, most, and utmost. Okay, there's 3 levels: almost, most, and utmost. And he said, I don't remember the exact statistic, but it was somewhere like 80 to 90% of people are living like almost, right? They're paycheck to paycheck, like never really taking risks, like, in their comfort zone. Not a lot of growth that's going to happen. And then he talked to the people that get almost there, right? But they sabotage it. Like they almost get there, but then fear holds them back. They almost get there, but these limiting beliefs come in. And why are the majority of us not having the utmost life that we want to have? And there were some exercises to do some like real self-reflection of where you were. And I'll say there was a period of time that I felt like I had the utmost life compared to where I was, exchanging time for money and buried in debt. And I will say there was times that I hit like the most, right? Limiting beliefs did come in. Self-sabotation does come in. And I was sitting there thinking, okay, what did I do 2 years ago, right? What did I do 4 years ago? And what am I not doing now? Or what do I want to do now to make some of those things happen, to make the things on your vision board happen, to have the, people attract into your business the way that you want them to. And I love that. And so just put it somewhere. Ask yourself right now, like, am I living the almost, most, or utmost life? And then what do you have to do to continue to start to do those things? All right. Do you guys know Coach Prime? Some of you know Coach Prime. He, Deion Sanders. James is like, yeah, I know who he is, right? And then he's coaching the bus right now. I'm gonna probably have some people like disgruntled by this right now. I was not like the fair weather fan, like when he came to see you and all of a sudden like jumped on the bandwagon. I was like, Prime, 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 Prime. There's a documentary out there. My husband loves it. The girl that I went to the conference with like loves it. And I'm like, what's the deal? Like he's a great football player. But I didn't get sucked into a lot of the things that I just thought was like the hype show when he led the bus to those first few wins last year. You guys, he closed out the event. And I will tell you, I've never heard a more powerful speaker. I have never heard someone more clear, with more of a vision, more convicted, more on fire, more I don't give up about anybody. And I was like, I almost left because I was like, all right, Coach Prime, I'll be able to see him again in Colorado. I've been there for 14 hours. And I was like, there's a reason why this guy is closing out the event, right? And I stuck it out. There is no way that I could repeat to you the 75 minutes that he gave us in the 5 minutes that I have left with you. But I'm going to share with you a couple things that just hit home so much with Isogenics. And I was like taking notes fervently thinking, how can I pass this on to the team? Okay. So one of the lines was, a belief is something that other people put on us, where a believer is what you have in yourself. And so when we think about why we're not doing things, or we put judgment on us, or we have like fear around it, that is focusing on what other people think about ourselves, right? When you're a believer in yourself and what you want for yourself, you don't have to get that permission from anybody else, right? That comes within. And so, and you're in those pivotal moments when you're in the rock and a hard spot, when you're in like, like, what do I do? And you're in your head, just remember that we're not here to worry about what other people have on ourselves. We're here to do the best that we can. And that doesn't mean you're the best, but you're the best that you can be. Another thing he said was that if you're looking at athletes and what they all have in common, is they all have a coach. And he said, if you don't have a coach, right, how are you going to be the best? How are you going to get better? And a lot of times your upline can be your coach. A lot of times someone crossline can be your coach. But here's what I'll tell you. The best growth that I have ever done in the last 11 years. This is working with my life coach. This is working with a speaker coach. This is working with an author coach, right? Is the isogenics training. I don't think there is more greatness in the personal development that comes from isogenics than anywhere else. And I have been to Les Brown. I mean, Jess and I went to David Wood and Lisa Nichols together. I mean, I've seen a lot of speakers and a lot of trainers. And I said, we've got to get people to the event. We have got to get people to Celebration, to the event in June, to those local Super Saturdays, to just allow these people who have done what they want, come from the places they have come from, to be everybody's coach, right? So that Anna, Nicole, Sue, all of you start to get to be a little bit better, whether it's with connecting, it's the compensation plan, it's casting the vision, it's hosting events, that we've got to plug people in to be surrounded by other people so that everybody gets a coach. All right. Um, he talked a lot about negative energy and just to get rid of it. And he was like walking around the stage, just this big, big energy. He's like, now. He's like, when? Now. And he's like getting everybody like fired up about it. But I was sitting there thinking, how many times did I pour into someone that was exhausting to me? And not because they were like not getting it fast enough, but because they were negative. They were never going to do it, but I wanted them so bad, right? Please get on the call. Please do this. Please do that. And I just thought, man, if I had right then just been able to like hold the cord and move on to somebody else, how much different that would have been. That there was heartache in my heart, the heartache in the team sometimes when somebody left or they stopped building, and I put energy into it and just said, you know what, that made space for somebody else. Like that was the way that was supposed to happen. That's the timing of everything. And I think sometimes when we're in it and we are trying to control everything, we forget that those are blessings. Those are really, really openings. And so when there's just a time to, not tomorrow, not next year, not, if then, and just now, and just be okay with it. That doesn't make you a bad person for having clarity, for having boundaries. I'm going to tell you just two more things, okay? Here was one of my favorites. He talked about how he came out and he like crushed these first few wins in like the Pac-10 or whatever, and then basically like lost the whole season. And everybody was like, "Oh, you're a player, and like you're a phony," and da 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 da. His conviction when he was like, "I am a winner. Like this is what I do." Okay, and he's listing like his Super Bowl championships and all of his Hall of Fame records and all these things. But here was the line, and here was the vulnerability and the transparency. He says, you have to lose and you have to fall down so you can get back and you can get better. And the minute he said it, I thought about Jess last week on the comeback tour, right? Like if it's always easy, we forget the skill set that we have. If it's always easy, we forget what other options it would be. If it's always easy, we're not learning, we're not growing, right? When you're thinking about a summit, we appreciate so much when you get to that top because of what it took to get there. And so if there's a time in your life, if there's a time in your business, if there's something right now that you're just being like, like it's just not going the way that I want it to be, just remember that you're a winner, right? And you have to continue to learn. You have to continue to grow. And I'm going to leave you with this, okay? This is a little bit of a combination of things that people said and then the way that I put my own words in it. There is nothing about us that was created to go backwards. So why are we not going forward? So then one of the speakers talked a lot about like the enemy and things that like get in our way and they try to hold us back. But from a physiological standpoint, from an evolutional standpoint, from a creation standpoint, nothing about our bodies were meant to go backwards. We crawl forward, we walk forward, right? You fall forward, you run forward, like all of these things. And that it's really, really easy to get stuck looking back on what could I have done different? What if I had not done this? Or, oh, when it used to be like this. that I want you guys to just think for a second about the first question I asked you on what do you want most right now? And what are you willing to do relentlessly and passionately in order to move in that direction? And then where do you have to learn, right? Like, where do you have to learn what skill set, whatever that may be, but how do you start to move forward? And I will tell you guys, I've been through a lot of seasons with Isogenics. I've been through a lot of seasons of an entrepreneur. And I love that there's a lot of things that we can do. But when I tell you there is nothing like this, there is nothing like these products, there is nothing like this community, there is nothing like the compensation plan. I really, really encourage you guys to get back to the basics. When you're talking to people, stop trying to memorize what Jess says. Jess is amazing, but really Jess is the only one that can say it that way. And let Jess do that and you be you. Let you connect with your story, with your love for the products, with the way that you came into this. I can't even tell you how many times Emma, I'm saying this with love. She'll message me something and she's like, I'm in my head, right? What do I say to this person? And I think I give her this verbiage and I want to say what you want to say because you're amazing. And the people, if they're going to respond to me, I would be prospecting them in the same way that you meet friends out and about or we would date different people. Like people are so less drawn to the perfection, but they want to be around the relatability. If you guys are seeing that trend on social media right now where it says social media is fake and people put up like a slew of pictures and they're, being really honest about some things that are happening, if we get back to the basics by talking to people, sharing stories, really inviting them to see these friendships and finding out why they want this business, I promise you guys it will be explosive going into the spring and going out of the summer. If you were to ask me about people's whys very, very, very early on in my build, right? If I knew Laura's, I knew Kisa's, I knew Jenny's, I knew my sister's, like I will never, ever, ever forget Janny telling me about Jessica. And it was before I knew her, you guys, but she was like, oh, I'm working with this girl that wants to spend the summer at the beach. And I was like, what? Like, I didn't even get what that was. And she's like, yeah, she has this big corporate job. And, she has this beach home and she's there like 2 weekends out of the summer and she wants to spend the entire summer at the beach. She was like, I'm going to help her get there. And guess what happened? Like, I will never forget that. Okay. When there were people on our team that had sick children and they wanted to be home, people that wanted to take care of a parent, people that wanted to get out of a job, people that wanted whatever that was. If you were to ask me right now, from the 30 people that were recently enrolled in our team in the last month, why are any of them doing this? I can't tell you a single person, not even one. I have no idea. And it's because we're not asking, right? We're not talking to them. We're not in the living room. We're not talking about the comp plan. We're not being vulnerable and getting to know that. So I really, 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 really want to leave you guys with getting back to the basics. When we talk about our community and our culture, get to know people, allow them to get to know you. There is nothing more sexy, more fun when you see a red, powerful person be vulnerable and be so transparent, right? There's trust. Like when people are like, oh my gosh, I got into Jess, like she let me in, there's a bond that's unbreakable. But we've got to go find other people who need this. And then are going to run to the moon with us, that are going to put these market disruptor products in their body, right? And run with the compensation plan. But it starts with the trust, it starts with the connection, and it starts truly knowing where we're going to go. So I know that that was all over the place tonight, you guys. But when you think about the part that Isogenics has impacted you the most, I'm not gonna lie, I use the products every single day, right? I'm like now like getting lean again for Bahamas, impossible goal for in 4 weeks or whatever it is. But right, I love the product. We get paid every single Monday, and it's amazing. And I'm so thankful for that. But when we really put our head down and I go, damn, I've got someone like Erica Rothenberger who I'm not financially connected to cheering me on. That her post a couple weeks ago of what she went through in that courtroom, like tugged at my heartstrings. I was like, man, she's a freaking fighter. And it's like you want to jump across the room and like lift people up. That Laura came out, the 2 weeks after Adonis was born to be like, I'm going to help you with him. Had nothing to do with the business. For the first time ever, we didn't talk about Isogenics, but she's like, you need help. She was the first person to ask him about his first birthday. She's like, I need to put that on my calendar. When is it? What's it going to be? I'm not going to miss it. I'm like, I have no idea. I hadn't even thought about it. Those are the types of relationships that people need, that I swear they will trust you. They're never going to quit. They're going to order every single month, but you got to let them in. You got to go find them and you got to be there for them. Have a wonderful night, you guys. We'll see you in a week. Good night.